is Alan Robson.
This is Night Owls
on Metro Radio.
Okay, let's get cracking. Now, last night, got an email and we had to talk to this guy. He is a Flight Lieutenant Aaron O'Rourke's the commanding officer of the 1114 Gosforth Squadron, and he needs you guys to give him a hand. Hello, Aaron.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
Good to talk to you. I am standing up and saluting. How can we help you?
Alan, I've been part of the Air Cadet organisation for a number of years now, and I run an Air Cadet squadron, one of 35 in the North East. My squadron is based at Gosforth. We're 1114 Gosforth Squadron, and this year is a very exciting year for the Air Cadet organisation. We were formed in 1941, and we're celebrating this year our 75th anniversary.
Wow.
So squadrons throughout the country are getting involved in loads of different celebrations, loads of different events.
Right.
And a project we've got running on our squadron is we're trying to trace the history of the squadron all the way back to 1941.
Right.
And to find out who was sat in my shoes as a commanding officer in 1941, and then fill the gaps all the way through to present day. And the cadets have got a big project going on. We've got a load of old photographs that we've found in the squadron archives. But we thought we'd give yourselves an email and speak to your listeners to find out whether anybody in the North East was particularly an air cadet on our squadron, on Gosforth Squadron, or knows who the COs were who could fill in the gaps for us, or was simply a cadet in the organisation. We'd love to hear from them and their experiences back in 1941, because the Air Cadet organisation has changed so much. It's gone from strength to strength. And
I would imagine round about that time they were fast-tracking people to get trained as pilots, because obviously there was a massive shortage of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would think of the cadets during wartime must have been a very, very different thing.
A very, very different environment, and although the Air Cadet organisation's moved on, and our parent organisation is the Royal Air Force, and we are the Royal Air Force Air Cadets. Yeah. The ethos of that we've got is very much the same. It's stayed all the way through, but we are not a recruitment agency for the Air Force. We will give every cadet that comes through our doors that opportunity to join the Air Force and expose them to as much stuff to help them on that ladder for the Air Force. Right. And we've had cadets in our organisation who now fly for the Red Arrows or fast jet pilots. Wow. But we've also got cadets that go on and join other services or move on to civilian careers.
Sure.
And yes, it has changed throughout the years. And now we're only one of over 1,200 squadrons nationally. We've got 42,000 cadets and over 15,000 adult volunteers throughout the country. So
hang on, if you, as a commanding officer, sorry for bringing in, but as you're a commanding officer, you would probably know the names of other commanding officers at other local cadets organisations. Is that correct? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's correct.
So therefore, if somebody else is an ex-commander in Sunderland or Teesside, they would probably know the names of the people that were their counterpoints when they were in the role, so they could help you with the history.
Well, we can go so far back, and I've spoke to colleagues in nearby squadrons to us, and they're doing very much a similar sort of project, because the records that have been held back in 1941 are difficult to trace and find even nowadays. We're all in the same boat. We're trying to trace our history, because it's a big year for us. And we can go so far back. I can probably go 3 or 4 commanding officers behind me. Right. But then we sort of started to lose track there, because the people that are in the organisation now weren't in the organisation back in the 50s and the 40s.
So therefore, if anybody's listening tonight who used to be in the Air Cadets at all, you've probably got some information, especially if it was 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. You will have the kind of information that could help flesh out that whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's literally just filling in the gaps for us. And to be honest with you as well, although one of the projects is finding out all the previous OCs, what we're looking at doing is open our doors up from our particular squadron. I can only speak for my squadron. The other 34 commanding officers around the North East are doing different things for their squadron. And we're looking at opening up our doors, inviting ex-cadets down to come and see how the squadron's changed. And the further back we can go for that, and to to show our current cadets what life was like as an air cadet back in the the 40s and 50s. I think it'll be a very, very valuable experience for any of our cadets and our staff alike, because we have adult volunteers on our squadron as well who serve for us and do an absolutely fantastic job, certainly on our squadron and the squadrons in the northeast.
Right. So about young people who are thinking, I've never thought of the Royal Air Cadets. How do they join? How do they get in there? How do they take part if they would like to?
Well, for the Gosforth area, we like I say, we're an individual squadron. We're based just off the Great North Road next to Gosforth High School. But obviously your listeners are from all over everywhere, the northeast and beyond as well.
Sure.
You could simply go to the RAF website and put in Air Cadets and search, and there's a squadron finder on there.
Right.
And you can find where your nearest squadron is. For example, in the northeast, we've got squadrons as far north as Berwick, as far south as Newton Aycliffe, and then we go into a different sort of wing, so to speak.
Right.
We've got Hexham. There's a lot of squadrons centralised in the Newcastle area, but you're never very far away wherever you live in the northeast from an Air Cadet squadron.
Sure.
To be able to join as a cadet, you need to be 12 years. And you have to be in year 8. It used to be 13, right. And then we realised as an organisation you could have a 13-year-old cadet who had a 12-year-old student in the same class who couldn't join the Air Cadet.
Right, yeah.
And they were missing out in that, and we were losing cadets because of that. So they dropped the age limit down, put a stipulation that you had to be 12 years old and in year 8 to join the Air Cadets. And we go all the way up to your 20th birthday. You can only join up to your 17, right. And then we've got to get special permission to keep you on until beyond 18.
Right.
And most squadrons parade 2 nights a week. We parade on a Monday and a Thursday from 7 o'clock till 9:30 p.m.
Right.
And we are a military youth organisation, so we've got a military aspect. We wear the same uniform as the Royal Air Force, and we have drill and discipline and stuff like that within the Air Cadet organisation. Right. But the activities that we do, we're, like you said before, we're the biggest youth organisation in the country, and we're probably our own best kept secret, to be honest with you. So the stuff that we do is phenomenal. The activities that we have, from day one when you join as a cadet, you can be involved in flying and gliding, adventure training, simply by being an air cadet and going through all the training and all the classifications that we've got. You learn how aircraft fly, principles of flight, airmanship. Right. Once a cadet's gone all the way through all the classifications, they're awarded a BTEC in aviation studies. And that's the equivalent of 3 GCSEs. Wow, brilliant. Simply by being an air cadet.
And all of this activity doesn't cost anything, either.
It doesn't cost anything per se. There is a very small monthly subscription that the cadets pay, and each squadron is different. They set the amount, right. But you don't pay for your uniform. The uniform is all paid for by the Air Force. And for example, if a cadet can go flying once a month if they want to, wow. And an hour in an aircraft, if you were to go to a flying school, you're talking about £100. Cadet gets that for free, absolutely nothing, no cost at all to them.
Brilliant.
And all the activities that the cadets do are free of charge, other than going away on a camp. They get to go away for a week on an RAF station, learning how the RAF operate. For a week, that costs roughly about £50. And likewise, they can go overseas to Air Force bases overseas in Gibraltar and Cyprus, and that only costs them a very, very small amount. For a week away, it's about £50 for an air cadet.
That's incredible. But first things first, we need to know anybody that knows anything about the Air Cadets from as early as 1941 and on. This is the Gosforth, the 1114, the 1114. How do you say it?
1114.
1114 Gosforth Squadron. Yeah. So if anybody knows anything about that, we want to flesh out the history of it, and if anybody would like to join, it just sounds absolutely too good to be true, because the stuff that you do is incredible. I mean, you're doing radio communications, you got target shooting, flying, travelling abroad. Who wouldn't? Do you know, I really have a job working out. Who wouldn't want to do all of that? But Aaron, bless you, if we get anything from anybody who is an squadron member back in the day, if they call us, we'll patch them on to you, or is there another place where people can go directly technologically?
We've got a website. We've got, if you go to www.treble14squadron.co.uk. That's our very own website.
Right.
We're also on Facebook. If you search the same on Facebook,
right.
you will appear on there. We've got some of the latest activities that our cadets have been involved in, and the promotional videos that we've done showing our cadets getting involved in flying, gliding, and adventure training. And you can send us a message on there, or there's an email address on there that you can email me directly, and I will reply to each and every one that gets in touch. Because, like you say, I think this year it's a very special year for us.
Yeah.
We want to make it special for everybody who's been involved in the Air Cadet organisation, especially previous members of the squadron that I'm involved in.
Brilliant. Aaron, thank you very much.